Men call him Dr. Strange and speak his name in whispers. While the city sleeps, one man remains awake, exhausted but using every ounce of willpower at his command to fight off sleep until his work is done. Alone in the innermost chamber of his apartment, Dr. Strange studies the properties of his mystic palantir.
My work is proceeding more slowly every hour, but I cannot stop now. I must first learn all the secrets of this stone. It looks to be luminescent obsidian of a very pure quality, yet it has a crystalline shape unknown among earthly elements. Who would guess that it contained images of other dimensions?
Meanwhile, in the next room, unaware of the identity of their intended victim, two petty burglars silently steal into Dr. Strange's living quarters through an unlocked street window.
We're in luck. The place is deserted.
Yeah, this place is gonna be a cinch to rip off. Come on, let's see what we can find.
But cautious though they are, they're not nearly cautious enough. Their heartbeats alone would be enough to betray them to the trained senses of Dr. Strange.
Halt! I thought I sensed something going on in here.
Holding the two men transfixed, Dr. Strange calls upon the eye of his amulet to scrutinize the motives of the intruders.
But these are only petty crooks. Certainly no call for great alarm. I must be working too hard. The simplest spell will cause them to be ejected whence they came. Rubra chapayate tiras kurvan.
Whoa, hey, what goes on here? He mumbled a few nutty words and all of a sudden we're floating through the air.
So this place ought to be a cinch to rob, eh? Next time, keep your big mouth shut. Hey, how'd he do that? We went right through the wall.
It must be some kind of trick, that's all. He probably does it with mirrors.
On the street outside of Dr. Strange's home, the two crooks, unharmed by their misadventure, try to understand the meaning of the weird experience.
Can you figure that? He managed to get us out of his house somehow, and then he just leaves us here. He don't even call the cops.
Use your head, dummy. He must be hot, too. He can't call the cops. That means we can hit him again. We won't have to worry about being arrested. But next time, we'll have to be more careful. Come on, let's get out of here.
The next night in his study, Dr. Strange prepares to visit the Ancient One.
You called me, Master.
Yes, Wong. I'm leaving for a time and won't be needing you. You may have the weekend off.
Thank you, Master. Good night.
Then Dr. Strange once again assumes a meditative posture, and his astral form becomes free of his body and floats upward through the building and into the ether. But at that moment, the two hoodlums are watching the house from across the street. Seeing Dr. Strange's servant leave, they assume the house to be unattended and decide again to force their way into the darkened house.
There he goes. Now's our chance.
This is perfect. The place really must be deserted this time. We can take what we want.
Entering Dr. Strange's study, the crooks fail to notice the lifeless form of the magician. So quickly are their eyes drawn to the glowing palantir on the table.
Hey, get a load of this. It must be worth a fortune. I've never seen anything like it before.
Somehow it gives me the creeps, though. Something wrong about the way it glows, maybe.
What's the matter with you? The only thing wrong with it is I'd have to share it with you. Come on, grab it.
Me? Why don't you? Oh, all right.
Boy, it'll set us up for a nice, long time. Here, give me that thing.
I hope you're right, but I still have a strange feeling about it. A feeling of doom.
But even as his astral form hurtles through space, the inscrutable Dr. Strange senses that trouble is afoot and decides to return to his unprotected body.
It's as I feared. The gem is gone. But it shouldn't be hard to trace with the eye of the amulet.
In his physical form once more, Dr. Strange is led by the enchanted eye to a nearby loft, lit only by the glow of the mystic palantir.
They're gone. Only a purple mist remains coming from the palantir. It's worse than I imagined. I may be too late to save them. How could they have known that the gem was a device to bridge dimensions? Even though they're enemies of society, my oath provides that I must aid any and all men. I dare make no exceptions. So I must follow them through the stone.
Removing his gloves and grasping the stone firmly, Dr. Strange's body is absorbed, slowly at first and then faster and faster into the gem until once again naught remains in the chamber but an eerie glow. Then, in another dimension, in another world, the master of the mystic arts appears slowly and effortlessly and beholds a scene not unknown to mortal men. A column of slaves chained together is being driven on mercilessly by inhuman guards of tremendous stature. Dr. Strange perceives the men he pursues far ahead in the line.
Faster! Move it! Move it! Agamemnon the All-Powerful must not be made to wait. Halt now! Another intruder approaches. You men, bind him into the line.
In that unknown dimension, Dr. Strange feigns weakness, the magician allowing himself to be taken without a struggle.
Bind him! Bind him!
A short time later, as the column enters a walled keep, Dr. Strange is cut out of line and taken to a side chamber into the presence of the ruler of this domain.
I am Agamemnon, the All-Powerful. I can sense not only who you are, but why you entered this dimension. But you cannot have the two men you seek. No one may ever leave this land where all live only to serve me. This includes you, sorcerer.
I am no helpless captive like the others. You sense who I am, Agamemnon. You must also know my power. You would do well not to defy me.
You dare address me in this way, fool? Not for nothing am I called the All-Powerful. I shall show you my might.
At the wave of his hand, Agamemnon conjures up a mental vision of the toil and suffering which goes on in the caverns below.
All who live here labor for me. They work in the mines, bringing me gems which delight my soul. In 1,000 years, none have escaped, save through death. But I can sense your power, and thus you will be a most treasured captive. I desire not to waste my time and energies battling you, so I make you an offer. If you willingly take their place as my captive, I will free the men you seek and return them unharmed to your world.
They are unworthy of such sacrifice, and yet I have vowed to the Ancient One. I cannot betray that trust.
I accept, Agamemnon.
And at that very moment, in the deserted loft, two figures materialize in the mist created by the Palantir. Dazed by the forces which they've unleashed, the two men hurry into the street.
What the hell? This is too f***ing much.
Come on, let's get out of here. The further the better.
Meanwhile, the tall, silent figure of Dr. Strange is shackled in their stead.
It is done. Now you are my helpless prisoner, Strange. Forever.
Not so, Agamemnon. Your prisoner, but not so helpless. I have not vowed to remain your prisoner, and I shall not. Though I am shackled, our battle begins. I call upon the fire of Agni to pierce these chains of evil. May they melt and be as nothing. Now, Agamemnon, the all-powerful, I call upon you to demonstrate the truth of that arrogant name.
Gods, take him!
But at a mere gesture from the magician, Agamemnon's guards, who possess no occult powers themselves, are scattered as seeds before the wind.
No, Agamemnon. It is you who must battle me, not your slaves.
So be it, Strange. Nothing living can withstand the burning ray of my jeweled death projector. You will have the freedom you desire, mortal, as others before you.
But the fatal beam never reaches the master of the mystic arts, for in midair it's held by the power of the amulet. The seconds tick by, each man contends with the other, matching new strength of attack with new resistance. But in truth, both Agamemnon and Dr. Strange grow steadily weaker in the grim battle. As time passes, both antagonists are being depleted and realize that they're doomed unless one surrenders.
Give up, you mortal fool! You have no other choice save certain death.
The choice is yours as well, Agamemnon. I do not fear death, providing you join me in it.
You are a fool, Strange, to sacrifice yourself so for your worthless fellow men. I will not die for so little. I surrender. I do not want to die. Mercy, I beg you. Spare my life, I'll pay. I've got jewels unknown on earth.
The price of your life is the freedom of those who toil below. Mankind is but my first concern, Agamemnon. I serve all who are in need of help.
So be it.
Later, in a quiet side street of Greenwich Village, a local patrolman tells Dr. Strange of a most unusual event.
They walked up to the sergeant and offered to sign complete confessions. They said something and it seemed to involve you, but we couldn't understand a word of it. Some kind of freaks. We sent them downtown for questioning.
Who can ever fathom the senseless ramblings of the criminal mind?
Yeah. Well, anyhow, they said they wanted to serve their time, pay their debt to society, and go straight. How do you like that?
Later, alone in his chamber, Dr. Strange replaces the palantir in its proper stand.
The ways of fate are indeed surprising. I feared I was making a useless sacrifice, and yet, because of this struggle, 2 men have been put on the right path. But I must be gone. Guruji will grow anxious.
And so we take our leave of Dr. Strange as he prepares to meet his venerable master, ready at any moment to face new perils which threaten his sleeping fellow men. Be with us again next time for more of the occult adventures of Dr. Strange, master of the mystic arts.